The Progressive Era was a time of hardship and problems both for the people of the time and the economic industry. A leading problem at the time was horrible working conditions people underwent, many of these people being foreigners. At this time, America was drastically growing, giving birth to many jobs and opportunities for new American citizens. Many seized the opportunity for work quickly in order to sustain themselves and their families. In the era of the progressive movement, industries that mass-produced a product via assembly line thrived. This, however, led to corruption within these new industries because big bosses didn't care how their product came to be, as long as money filled their pockets. Even though America did see rapid innovation and growth, we still had many problems that had to be fixed. Among one of the many industries that was corrupt was the meatpacking industry. They used embalming fluids such as formaldehyde to preserve the appearance and taste of spoiled meat. Upton Sinclair was born on September 20th, 1878 in Baltimore, Maryland, and lived later in New York in the late 1800s. He led a difficult life in his early years, but had a love for reading and writing since the age of 5. In 1904, Fred Warren, a newspaper editor, asked Sinclair, who was a journalist at the time, to cover the lives of many immigrant workers and meat processing industry. What he had come upon gave him the knowledge he needed to write his novel, The Jungle. His novel was based on his account of the Chicago meat processing factories. His story follows a Lithuanian immigrant named Jurgis, who is chasing after the American dream like so many other foreigners like him. He ends up a worker in Chicago's meat industry. Sinclair depicts graphic details about working conditions Jurgis had to work through. These conditions included rancid, deteriorating meat, rats, and unsanitary workers that worked in the plant as well. In an excerpt of the novel, he says, "The meat would be shoveled into carts, and the man who did the shoveling would not trouble to lift out a rat even when he saw one. There were things that went into the sausage in comparison with which poisoned rats was a tidbit. There was no place for the men to wash their hands before they ate their dinner, so they made it a practice of washing them in the water that was to be ladled into the sausages. They were the butt ends of smoked meat and the scraps of corned beef, and all the odds and ends of wasted plants that would be dumped into old barrels in the cellar and left there. Under the system of rigid economy which packers enforced, there were some jobs that it only paid to do once in a long time, and among these was the cleaning out of the waste barrels. Every spring they did it, and the barrels would be dirt and rust and old nails and stale water. And cartload after cartload of it would be taken up and dumped into the hoppers with fresh meat and sent into the public's breakfast." Sinclair's novel failed to be published 5 times before finally being accepted by Doubleday, Page and Company. Readers were mortified at the realization of what they were eating. However, many thought his novel was to be a gross exaggeration. The people's outcry became heard when government intervention had been placed. President Theodore Roosevelt became a key component in the battle against the meat industry when he signed the Meat Inspection Act of 1906. The law prohibited allowing diseased or rotten food in interstate and foreign markets. The sale and use of rotten animal and vegetable products was now illegal. Businesses could not have either substituted filler ingredients that would reduce the quality or add malicious ingredients. The act also dealt with drugs and foods with misleading statements on their labels. These drugs were also called patent medicine. Drugs had to stand by certain standards of purity and quality in order to be legal. Food and drugs did not do so could be seized by the government, and perpetrators could be fined and jailed. Sinclair changed today's standards for food. We no longer need to worry about